Hey everyone, how's it going today? And welcome back to another fourth stimulus check unemployment benefits extension update. So in today's update, I really just want to do a really quick update about the fourth stimulus package slash fourth infrastructure bill. Now, obviously, when it comes to the fourth stimulus check, right now there's a lot of controversy about whether or not we're going to actually be able to physically see one. There are definitely talks, as most of you guys know, that's revolving around doing a fourth stimulus check, but of course it's not very concrete. So the true answer is really that right now at this time, we don't really know. It's just out there. There are congressmen that are talking about it, but there isn't necessarily a set bill per se, or at least a set finalized bill that's truly really being pushed right now. I know, for example, there was talks that there was a rumor that was floating around that today, specifically August 19th, 2021, if you happen to be watching into the future, there was a rumor about whether or not we're going to be able to see a $7,000 stimulus check. So I believe what ended up happening is that there was a news article that kind of was floating around that kind of led to a bunch of rumors that were being spread all around basically just the internet, the country, and everywhere. But the long story short is that actually turned out that it was really just a rumor. So there isn't going to be a $7,000 stimulus check that's coming today if you're watching this on release date or in the coming days, although that would really be amazing. Now, there is a chance, though, you may actually legitimately be able to get some kind of $7,000 stimulus when it comes to other programs, such as like the child tax credit. There is talks right now that because they are hoping, and this is something that's actually physically inside of the bill, that they may be trying to push for some kind of child tax credit that if they approve this, it's going to be several $1,000s every single year. And if you're able to do this for, let's just say, even just more than beyond next year, then there is a chance you may actually legitimately be able to get more than $7,000 from the government just specifically through this program. Of course, that's something that we're maybe going to talk about in a little bit, but today's update is really going to be all about where we stand with the fourth stimulus package, the fourth infrastructure bill, which I think is very fair to say that it is something that's really being pushed, and then maybe the fourth stimulus check, which is a little bit of a question mark right now. So we're going to talk all about that, but as always, maybe real fast before we begin, remember to smash the like button because we are at least starting to see progress, so it is relatively bright, promising news. Consider subscribing and hitting the bell if you're interested in similar videos like this and for more updates. Huge thanks if you guys have been here for a while now, as always, and as always, feel free to comment any questions, thoughts, or questions about honestly just really anything at all. So with that being said, let's get this video started right now. So when it comes to the fourth stimulus package slash infrastructure bill, what's really going on right now is that, as most people know, is that they currently decided to split that bill into two different parts. So essentially now you have the fourth infrastructure, but specifically the physical infrastructure package. Then you have the fourth social infrastructure package, which has all of the social human infrastructure programs that most of us probably care about. The really great news, as you guys probably already know from the last couple of days, is that they've officially approved, or specifically they approved in the Senate, the fourth infrastructure on the physical side. And that's the package that's going to be priced at about $1 trillion. There is now another package that's going on, which is essentially the human infrastructure slash social infrastructure package that's being priced at $3.5 trillion. So the story right now is that the really great news is that now that they've officially approved the physical infrastructure in the Senate, they are now moving it into the House in order to try to gain approval. And on top of that, on the side is that they're now moving on to try to work on the human slash social infrastructure. And it's actually even more perfect timing, because what's going on is that there are a lot of social programs that are currently now on the verge of ending relatively soon, such as unemployment, such as things like eviction. They did extend that pandemic EBT. They did once again extend that, but at the end of the day, there is still relatively an expiration date. So they are talking about trying to, simply put, is just extending it even further. So what's really being held up right now essentially is that the physical infrastructure side, they've already approved it inside of the Senate, but they have to try to approve it inside of the House now. And what's going on is that the great news is that there's a lot of people that are on board, and because it's harder, typically most of the time, harder to get it approved inside of the Senate, it means that now that it's inside of the House, ideally it should be a lot easier to get approved inside of the House. However, right now at this time, there is a little bit of a conflict. And it's what's going on is that Nancy Pelosi, she's basically stepped inside to kind of interfere a little bit. And what she really wants to do is that she's trying to prevent it from even getting a vote, because what she wants to do is she's trying to get it so that she can negotiate the human/social infrastructure bill so that she can basically pass it together. I think the logic behind it is because she really wants to make this like a take all or walk away kind of deal. Essentially what she's trying to do is that she's very afraid, well, aside from political reasons that you guys probably already know, most of us know, but essentially I think is that she's relatively afraid that if they end up passing part of the stimulus package/fourth infrastructure bill, she might not be able to get the other part of the infrastructure bill together. So she's trying to create pressure in order to do both of them together. So essentially it's both of them or just pass kind of story. But what's going on is that there are a lot of people inside of Congress that want to finally finish up the negotiations for the infrastructure bill. A lot of them are on board and they're literally they want to be able to approve it, but the reason why they're holding off on it is because they actually physically cannot even vote on it, because Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to physically bring it to the floor, but specifically bring it to the floor not just for negotiation reasons, but to actually have a physical vote happen. So the idea is that until she actually holds the physical vote, we don't even know if it can even physically approve and pass, because there's no one able to actually physically voice, or certainly able to raise their hand and voice in support of it. So that's really the situation going on. Essentially, the recap is that there's simply put is just a divide. There's some people that really support it. I think actually the idea is that most people in the House support it, but what they're debating on is that there's some people that support it and want to just approve it step by step, and then there's a lot of people that want to approve it, because again, both sides want to approve it, but they want to approve it together with everything that's going on, and this is the side that's being pushed by Nancy Pelosi right now. So we don't really know what's going to happen, but that's really how things are going to go forward. Essentially, there are three things being debated on. The first is the physical infrastructure. The second is the social human infrastructure, which has all of the programs. And the third one, interestingly, is about the budget reconciliation/budget resolution in order to do the human infrastructure and social infrastructure bill. Because keep in mind is that the social human infrastructure, they just started. So they finally started, which is the really great news, but they still have to work on the physical budget. And when you're talking about a $1 trillion physical infrastructure package, and then you're talking about a $3.5 trillion social infrastructure package, that's a lot of money. And I think on an economic level, we don't know if we can actually physically get everyone on board, especially considering a lot of the stuff that people are relatively afraid of right now. Things such as like inflation, prices, where the economy is going to go. These are things that people are kind of wondering. And so they're things that are definitely going to impact what people ultimately support. I think people ultimately want to do the package. They just don't know what's going to be physically in it. And they're also trying to struggle to figure out also how they're going to physically try to approve it. So not just what's going to be in it, but the actual procedure they're going to use to try to get it through. But with all of this going on, stimulus checks, there are talks that's being considered. The petition is going on. They're trying to wait for it to finally hit 3 million signatures, and then they're probably going to try to vote and really preach on it. The big thing is that many people predict that because of the Delta situation, because of the reversals with things like masks, with vaccines, is that they may be trying to do some kind of reversal and maybe include it in the last minute. We don't know. It's not confirmed. It's not for sure, but it is very possible that they may be trying to insert it at the last minute, even if it has to happen on the state level, which is actually something that's already happened. Like, for example, in California, who has already approved their fourth and fifth stimulus check for some people, depending on, you know, who you are. But I'll put that at the end screen because we already talked about it. I believe it's literally just called $500-$600 stimulus check, because that's the amount of the stimulus check if you happen to be there. But essentially, that's really what I wanted to just cover in today's update, so you guys can get a little bit of a general breakdown about what's actually physically happening with the votes for basically all of the fourth stimulus packages and even the checks at this point. So if you guys found that insightful, maybe consider smashing that like button, consider subscribing and hitting the bell if you guys haven't done so already. Always great to have new and familiar faces, and as always, feel free to comment any questions, personal thoughts, maybe predictions about honestly just really anything. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay well, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.